So, you're thinking about diving into Buddhism but feeling totally lost on where to even start. Huh? Well, then you've definitely clicked on the right video. If you truly want to get a handle on the fundamentals of Buddhist philosophy, there are three main areas you should tackle, and in this order. First, you need to wrap your head around the Four Noble Truths. Once you've got that down, move on to the second crucial element, the Eightfold Path. And lastly, but certainly not least, delve into the complexities of the 12 links of dependent origination. After really digging into these three pillars of Buddhist thought, reflecting on them and letting them sink in, then you might be ready to explore some of the more profound and advanced teachings like the Lotus Sutra or the Surangama Sutra. The thing is, once you understand these three core principles, you've already grasped about 90% of the fundamental concepts in Buddhism. Now, keep in mind, even after you understand these three central ideas, it could still take you a whole lifetime of practice, contemplation, and self-discovery to truly embody them, to fully realize their meaning in your own life, and ultimately, to find lasting freedom from all the suffering that life throws your way. Shakyamuni Buddha, our main man from way back when, dedicated 6 solid years to achieving enlightenment. That's right, 6 years. And for the last 2,600 years, he's been dropping truth bombs on us. Now, the cool thing about the Buddha's wisdom is that it's not all fancy or complicated. It's super simple to grasp, but trust me, it's incredibly effective when it comes to kicking suffering to the curb, no matter what form that suffering takes. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. This wisdom isn't meant to be put on a pedestal. It's not something to just worship or pray to. Nope. This is a truth you gotta put into practice. Alright, so in this video, we're diving headfirst into the topic, the Four Noble Truths. These truths are the bedrock, the very foundation of Buddhist teachings. Buddha laid them out immediately after he hit enlightenment. Think of it this way, the Buddha is like a doctor. He says, alright, there's a sickness, we know what causes it, we can cure it, and here's the roadmap to getting better. I'm gonna break down each truth for you, step by step. Then we'll slap it onto a real-life example so it's easy to see how this stuff works. First up, we got Dukkha Satya, the truth of suffering. Life, my friends, is riddled with suffering. I'm talking about all the stuff that leaves you feeling unsatisfied, anxious, in pain, and the ever-changing roller coaster of birth, aging, sickness, death, and those fleeting moments of joy and sadness. Now, Buddha wasn't just trying to be a Debbie Downer, going all, life sucks. He pointed out the suffering to wake us up, so we can see the real deal with life and start searching for a way out. Now, let's get down to the nitty-gritty, the major flavors of suffering. Dukkha dukkha. This is your classic suffering, the pain that comes from being born, getting old, being sick, dying, saying goodbye, feeling hatred, not getting what you want, and the whole shebang with our 5 senses being all riled up. Viparinama dukkha. This is the sneaky kind of suffering. It's when good times turn sour, like a sugar rush followed by a crash. Joy fades, leaving you empty, thanks to impermanence. Sankhara dukkha. This is the low hum of unease that's always buzzing beneath the surface. It's that subtle feeling that everything's kinda off, even when things seem okay. The Buddha laid out 8 flavors of suffering. Birth suffering, popping into this world ain't easy. Aging suffering, getting old, is no walk in the park. Sickness suffering, being sick plain sucks. Death suffering, kicking the bucket is scary. Suffering from separation from loved ones. Saying goodbye to people you care about is a heartbreaker. Suffering from being near those you hate. Being stuck with people you can't stand is torture. Suffering from not getting what you want, wanting stuff you can't have is frustrating. Suffering from the flourishing of the 5 aggregates. Your mind and body are constantly changing and messing with you. Here's a real-world example to chew on. Imagine someone who loves their parents, but they're forced to watch them grow old and sick. That's gonna cause some serious heartache. Or picture someone who's loaded with cash and status, but they're constantly terrified of losing it. That's gonna make them anxious as heck. And how about someone who's chasing happiness but constantly coming up short? That's a recipe for frustration. Next up, we've got Samadhi, the origin of suffering. Suffering doesn't just pop up out of nowhere. It's got a root cause: greed, hatred, and delusion. So what exactly is greed? It's not just being a money-grubbing materialist. It's any kind of attachment, the urge to possess, control, and cling to the things you like. What's hatred? It's that nasty cocktail of resentment, anger, and resistance that bubbles up when things don't go your way. Hatred often rears its ugly head when greed gets blocked. And what's delusion? It's not being wise, not seeing the truth about impermanence, suffering, and the whole not-self thing. This is the deepest root, the source of greed and hatred. Because you don't understand the real nature of life, you get all greedy, and when that greed gets thwarted, hatred explodes. Real-world example time. Picture a power-hungry person who loses their position. They're gonna suffer big time. Or someone who's head over heels in love who gets dumped. The pain is gonna be intense. Or someone who's obsessed with their self-image who can't handle getting old and sick. They're gonna be in denial. Third on the list is Nirodha Satya, the cessation of suffering. If suffering has a cause, then snuff out the cause and suffering disappears too. You can kick suffering to the curb by extinguishing greed, hatred, and delusion, and achieving the state of nirvana. Nirvana is the ultimate chill zone, a state of pure bliss without worries or anxieties. Your mind is crystal clear, and you're done with the whole birth-death-rebirth cycle. Nirvana isn't about being a cold, emotionless robot. It's about having a clear, natural mind that doesn't generate suffering because it's not clinging to anything. Here's a sample. On a basic level, someone who lets go of their attachment to a past relationship feels lighter and free. When you get your mind into a meditative space, not getting yanked around by thoughts, you can get a little taste of that blissful state. Lastly, we've got Magga Satya, the path to the cessation of suffering. You can't just wish your way out of suffering. The Buddha mapped out a solid path for practice called the Eightfold Path. Right understanding, seeing things clearly and knowing what's what. Right thought, thinking the right way. Right speech, speaking truthfully and kindly. Right action, acting ethically and responsibly. Right livelihood, earning your keep in an ethical way. Right effort, putting in the right kind of energy. Right mindfulness, being aware of the present moment. Right concentration, getting your meditation on. We're going to dedicate a whole video to the Eightfold Path, so stay tuned. Let's throw out a concrete situation to demonstrate these noble truths. Let's say our dude Jack gets canned from his job. Dukkha Satya, the truth of suffering. Jack's feeling awful, freaked about money, embarrassed, afraid to face his family, sad, can't sleep. Clear-cut suffering right there. Samadhi Satya, the origin of suffering. The root of Jack's suffering is he's too attached to his job as his source of worth. I gotta have this gig to be a success. Greed, clinging to his ego. He's scared of being financially insecure, craving security. He's ignorant to the fact that things are always changing and that a job doesn't define who he is. Nirodha Satya, the cessation of suffering. If Jack can get it through his head that jobs come and go, and stop thinking his job is all that defines him, he'll chill out and the suffering will ease up. If he can roll with the punches, be mindful, and remember his worth, the pain will fade and he'll find some peace. Magga Satya practice to end suffering. Let's apply the Eightfold Path to Jack's situation. Right understanding. Jack needs to realize that losing his job is just a hiccup, not the end of the road, and understand the reasons why and how things played out. Right thought. He needs to ditch the bad thoughts and focus on what's real. I got skills. I can find something else. Right speech and right action. He needs to be straight with his family and act like an adult. No blaming. No being a jerk. Right livelihood. He needs to hunt for new jobs that are ethical and think about changing careers instead of selling his soul. Right effort. He needs to hustle, learn new skills, tweak his resume, and network like crazy. Right mindfulness. He needs to stay in the moment so he doesn't get sucked into constant worrying by meditating, watching his breath, and paying attention to his feelings when they pop up. Right concentration. He needs to practice keeping his mind steady so he can make smart choices. Result. By figuring out what's causing his pain, attachment, and walking the path, changing his attitude, actions, and gaining wisdom, Jack can cut down on the suffering, discover new avenues, or even realize that getting fired was the best thing that ever happened to him. A few things to keep in mind. The 4 noble truths ain't just something to know, they're something to do. You gotta practice wisdom, watching how things change and connect. Train your mind, mindfulness, focus, and live an ethical life. When you hit a rough patch, first, accept that you're hurting, don't deny it. Then, hunt down the cause, greed, hatred, delusion, and start putting in the work, mindfulness, changing your behavior. You can start small. Try focusing on your breath for 5 to 10 minutes every day, mindfulness. Keep a journal to see the greed, hatred, and delusion in your life, and make sure you're doing things ethically, honestly, responsibly. To quote the Buddha, "This, monks, is the noble truth of suffering. This is the noble truth of the origin of suffering. This is the noble truth of the cessation of suffering. This is the noble truth of the path to the cessation of suffering. When I know clearly, understand clearly, practice, and realize these 4 noble truths, I become the supreme, perfectly enlightened one." Hope you can find the truth and say goodbye to all that suffering. Share your thoughts below and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on the Buddha's wisdom.